This is exactly what the Canucks needed, as one prospect that fills a void within the organization is dominating at training camp, proving he fills a much needed position within the Canucks organization. And Patrik Allvin speaks on another hype prospect and what he means to this team. We're going to be breaking down all that in this episode of Canucks Digest. But first, if you're part of the nearly 58% of viewers who aren't yet subscribed yet and you want to stay up to date on all things Canucks, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any of the episodes as they drop, as training camp and then preseason and the regular season will be right around the corner before you know it. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is the Cootes Solution. So the Athletic put out an article yesterday after day one of Canucks development camp, and featured in there was Elias Pettersson, which Mark covered in his video yesterday, and Thatcher Demko, but also in that was Braden Cootes. Now this is why he could make some noise coming out of training camp. The Canucks have uncertainty at center, and their lack of right shot centers specifically leaves a little daylight for the 2025 first round pick Braden Cootes to fit for an NHL roster spot out of camp. He's still on the outside looking in, and it's doubtful that he'll stick in the NHL full-time as an 18-year-old, but he doesn't have to look far and find a template to at least make things interesting, which we'll hop into in a second before we get into how he did in training camp. And then with him being impressive throughout the majority of Group A's on-ice session, he has an effortless burst to his skating stride, which already looks NHL caliber. It was impossible to miss his pace and jump each time he went up and down in the ice in various rush and neutral zone regroup drills. He already has a ton of zip and pop to his shot too. His release is quick, and even from a tighter areas close to the net, he was able to lift the puck high and get it bar down. Now with that precedent as well, like the article was just saying, last fall, Jet Luchenko, who was drafted number 13 in 2024, impressed at Flyers training camp and made the NHL team out of camp. He earned that opportunity in part because of Philadelphia's lack at right shot centers. Same thing with the Canucks. Luchenko returned to the OHL after 4 NHL games because that was best for his long-term development, but at least he got a big league look. And Cootes, skating on a line with Kiefer Sherwood and Archdeep Bains, wants to follow in those footsteps. So before we're going to hop into what Cootes was saying on the matter, this is exactly what we need coming out of training camp, because this is a guy that we took in the first round, 15 overall. So you want him to live up to that right off the bat, and he seems to be doing so. Everything that we've heard even before training camp, coaches and management was speaking very highly of him. Adam Foote, Patrik Allvin, Jim Rutherford, they really like this kid and what he brings to the table. And now that we're seeing him on the ice in a Vancouver Canucks jersey, albeit a practice jersey, he is really starting to impress a lot of people, and even the people that have been, the players that have been here for quite some time, which we'll get into in a bit as well. But overall, this is perfect for Braden Cootes. What more could you ask for coming in as a first-round pick and already starting to get the respect of the coaches, the management, the players, and then some, and having this confidence that you can make this team right out of camp? The Canucks are kind of set up that way, for better or for worse, where it has a lot of opportunities for these young guys, whether they're AHL guys for a couple years or new OHL guys that are just breaking into the AHL or trying to get their NHL shot after recently being drafted. Everybody seems to have a chance on this Canucks roster for at least the bottom 6 spot, and especially in a position where we are lacking a lot of depth. But speaking on that confidence, Braden Cootes was saying you want to have that quiet confidence in the back of your head that I can make this happen. Even if I just get a 9-game NHL sample, that's huge for my development and that experience. I think it's a possibility. Yes, I think 9 games could be a very big possibility, especially early on in the season when this team is trying to see what they're kind of made of. We know that Tom Willender probably is going to get those opportunities, and as well as Jonathan Lekkerimäki for sure, because he was a bit of a mainstay as far as AHL guys being called up last year. So that brings a lot of opportunity for Cootes, where we're probably going to see him in less than double-digit games in the NHL this season, but it brings a lot of flexibility for Vancouver to bring him in whenever they need him to, especially when we don't have the most depth at center. You got Pettersson, you got Hedel, you got Bluger, and then it kind of fizzles out from there as far as the rest of the team goes. So what you need somebody who can fill in there. So they're going to have a rotating kind of carousel of guys going in that fourth center spot, which could prove a lot of help for the Vancouver Canucks, as well as for Manny Malhotra with pieces to work with in Abbotsford. So there's going to be something interesting to watch here coming out of training camp as the second day got underway today, which that did bring a nice development for Braden Cootes. But speaking on Braden Cootes was Adam Foote as well, saying that when you get a high draft pick like that at that age, you don't really see what they've got until they play with a couple experienced NHL guys. Well, playing with Kiefer Sherwood and Archie Baines, Cootes was able to get some of that experience as well, saying that he's a smart player. I saw in the rush, especially, he was really good because he knows when to hold up, he knows when to stay level, and knows to come in as a unit of 3. He knows when to drive, and he knows when to scoop the guy on the weak side. I saw the brains out there, which I liked a lot. And this was something that was really praised on Cootes coming into the draft as well, was that he has a very high hockey IQ. He knows how to make plays happen, and he's going to make plays happen for more than just himself, for his teammates. So he's not going to go in on a rush unmanned and solo against 3 guys unless he needs to. If he can wait for his line mates, he's going to let them get in there so that he has more support around him in the offensive zone. So that's really good hockey IQ that you want in a young player to already have, rather than have to try and develop that as well. But one thing that is something worth noting is that there was evidence of a strength discrepancy in the battle drills at the end of practice yesterday. Cootes held his own in some battles because of his sheer energy and effort, but there were other times when he was outmuscled off the puck rather easily. He said there's a notable difference when he goes in the corner battle against a bigger NHL player like Boeser or Aatu Räty. However, today in day 2, Cootes held his own and then some in a Group A 2-on-2 down-low drill that pitted him against Tyler Myers and Marcus Pettersson. A legitimate big boy rep made even more impressive because it came against established, experienced NHL defenders. So this was the biggest part of all of this, is that those things that were considered weaknesses yesterday, in the matter of a day, he turned them around and is going up against Tyler Myers and Marcus Pettersson, not backing down. It ain't the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And Braden Cootes having this confidence and having that poise and having just that moxie to go out there and battle those guys, absolutely love to see it, especially when a day before he was being criticized for his strength and getting out-muscled in the corners. Now he's turned it around and going up against the big boys, that even bigger than Räty and Boeser, and going up against the biggest veterans on this team, and he's standing his own in there. So this is huge for the Canucks, as we could maybe see this kid play in even more games that we might expect. I don't expect more than 10 games, but if he's this impressive out of training camp and proves it in the preseason, just has this chip on his shoulder, I say rock with the kid and let him ride, because this guy could be something special. But let us know what you guys think down in the comments below about all of this with the Braden Cootes scenario and what you think he'll do out of training camp. That's going to take us into our second topic of the day, which is the goalie pipeline. So in Patrik Allvin's opening season presser, he was talking about the goalie pipeline a bit, and he was talking about Alexei Medvedev, saying that he showed us a lot of development out of camp and has a bright future if he continues to build on his skill set and fundamentals. We look forward to monitoring his progress and helping him develop into a solid pro. Speaking further on it, saying, I truly believe that with the addition of Alexei Medvedev here this summer, our goalie pipeline is probably the strongest one in the National Hockey League, already bolstered down by having Kevin Lankinen and Thatcher Demko in there. Then you have Ty Mueller and some other ones in there as well. So Vancouver, they're rich in goalies right now. It's just a matter of keeping them all healthy and making sure the young guys keep developing in the same way that Artur Shilov's was, because the Canucks, you could tell they didn't necessarily want to move on from Shilov's when they did, but they were in a scenario where they kind of had to, and it forced their hand because of the injuries they were being dealt and trying to make the playoffs that season rather than just giving up on the season as a whole. So that was something where Vancouver moved on. They got Marcus Pettersson. Boom. All right, we're chilling. Now we have Alexei Medvedev brought in. I think that is exactly the point when Vancouver said, all right, we can let Shilovs go because we got this kid and we have an opportunity to get this kid in the second round, and it would be a perfect steal for us and be an Artur Shilovs 2.0, if you'd say, who's won a Memorial Cup, is trying to go back and win a Memorial Cup again this year, and is just one of the best goalies of his league in the OHL. So this is going to be another big thing where we got Braden Cootes and Alexei Medvedev, two prospects from this past year's draft that are absolutely stunning out of camp and impressing a lot of people in the organization. It's impressing coaches, players, management, and this is going to be something worth monitoring, where Vancouver might have one of the best prospect pools in the NHL that is not going to be expected from a lot of people. A lot of people are counting us as a bottom 15 or middle kind of ground kind of prospect pool. But with these guys and the chips they have on their shoulder, I think Vancouver's going to take it and run with it. And just like when we went on our playoff run, a lot of people considered us a middle of the group kind of team. As far as the ones that made it, we made it pretty far, but not enough. This is the chip that we need to get us over the edge as far as just shutting up those naysayers that say we don't have a deep enough prospect pool, because these guys are ready to play. But let us know what you guys think about all this down below, from Cootes to Medvedev to the Canucks training camp heading into this season. Let us know down in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Canucks Digest. I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.